Evening, it's Lindsay from Cosy Owl, soon to be joined by Abby from Make Sense Candles. Tonight we're going to be doing something a little different and talking about Halloween inspiration, primarily fragrance oils, but also any cool ideas that we come up with along the way. Feel free to drop any ideas as well into the comments. We are here to sort of brainstorm together. So I'm just going to add Abby to the live now, so bear with me. There you go. I can see you're here. There you are.
Here I am. I was just enjoying your lovely intro.
Oh, I've been
And I love your new hair as well.
Oh,
amazing.
I got a little bit bored, not gonna lie.
No, I think it's fab. No, I love it. I missed some of the intro, so do shout if I sort of go over anything. I heard you mentioned we're talking about fragrance oils today, thinking about things a little bit ahead of season, I suppose, because while customers aren't thinking about autumn and Halloween just yet, even though the shops are trying to sneak in things already, and I've been using it as like props for photos, we're trying to think of ways that you can get ahead as small businesses and then think of things that are a little bit outside the box as well, because there might be fragrances that you want to try or ideas today that you want to give a go that you may not want to actually sell as a product, but you may want to create as like a reel or something to market and show a few different ideas and something a little bit fun.
Oh, what's going on here? Just going to invite you back, Abby. Whilst we're waiting for the connection to rejoin, just moving on from that, this time of year, or leading up to this time of year, can be hectic for a lot of people. So really the idea for tonight and for the live in the next couple of weeks is going to be to get you guys thinking about different ways of, you know, setting yourself aside from the competition. That is more to say that there are certainly other fragrances than the obvious. Specifically this time of year, people love pumpkin spice. You cannot get enough of it. We buy it in insane volumes, and every single year we somehow sell out completely. I don't know why, but there you go. There are so many other fragrances as well that go completely unknown this time of year, which is crazy. There are cinnamon vanilla, wood smoke vanilla, I mean, two in the same there. But there are also so many other fragrances that you can incorporate. Primarily, there's a lot of sweetie fragrances as well. Thinking about your trick-or-treaters, there are so many different ideas. And when we were just talking with Hayley today about using different wax melt molds in a way different to the normal, to try and set yourself aside even more so using materials that you may already have. I'm just going to take a pause there. Something seems to be going wrong with the connection, so I'm going to cut the video feed for just a second whilst we try and fix that.
I can see everyone's comments that are starting to come in. I think Lindsay's having a couple of internet issues, so hopefully we'll carry on. And let us know, as always, if you're new to these lives, pop on and say hi, or let us know what you love. I'm assuming this is about pumpkin spice as well, saying that people completely sold out last year. It's a favourite of mine as well, and I love it in a diffuser. Oh, you see that with the light? So that's what I go for. And then I add some glitter as well to some of my diffusers for this sort of time of year to give it a little bit of a sparkle, because that's like a non-hazardous what I would do. I'm hoping Lindsay will be able to join us in a moment. But my name's Abby, for anyone who's just joining us. I run Make Sense Candles. I have been working with Cosy Owl for a little while now, so whether you've seen us do beginner workshops for candle making or one of these lives, I can see everyone talking about pumpkin spice. Well, we're going to try and change your mind today. As much as we love it as a favourite, we've got some other ones that, just in case things sell out, unless you're ordering right now, these are some other things that I think will work really well for Halloween, really well for autumn. So things that I might have tried, or Lindsay might have tried with the other girls at Cosy Owl, that you may not have heard of. So as I mentioned, I don't work for Cosy Owl at all. I just work with them. I have my own candle business. So I'm quite often challenged to come up with new ideas, new ways of using products, a little bit like the content girls at Cosy Owl as well. If you have any questions at all as we're going on, do drop them in the comments as well.
Hi, sorry, I am still here. I don't know what's going on with the internet at the moment, and I can't see you, but I'm going to restart my camera.
Okay, no worries.
Hi.
I've had that before, and then you sort of are talking and someone else is frozen. You're trying to just carry on and act like a little swan, but you're paddling under the surface.
It's when you and I are collaborating as well.
Yeah, always. But anyway, everyone's loving pumpkin spice on the comments. Let us know what other scents that you've tried, if you've seen any that we're talking about today. I'm going to start with one of your favourites, Lindsay.
Please.
Plum and mulberry. I've got some of the older bottles here. So Cosy Owl now have glass bottles predominantly, which look like this. So you'll see some of these coming up on mine. And for autumn, if I start there before thinking about Halloween,
yeah,
fragrances I'm loving, and that I always drop it in on these lives, that which ones are the sort of most long-lasting fragrances, the strongest sort of like cold and heat throw that I seem to get on a regular basis without too much effort. Tonka and tobacco flower is one of those. Super strong, really nice for all time of year. Popular with men as well because it's more sort of peppery and it's got more depth to it. But it's not quite the same as like an aftershave scent. There's a couple of those on the Cosy Owl website, so it's not quite the same as that. But this looks really cool in like a black dye candle. And I think it's just like the scent sort of almost comes out even more when you start matching it to the colour.
It certainly does. I love the Tonka and tobacco myself. My other half as well absolutely loves it. We always try and say to people, don't be afraid by the word tobacco. It does not smell like cigarettes. It smells like tonka bean, and it's very musky and very earthy. It is really just a well-rounded scent, but people are always afraid just by the name.
Yeah, think of the flower that it comes from instead.
Yeah.
And the vanilla-y and musk, and it's, yeah, peppery is a good way of thinking about it as well. What else have I got for autumn? What is over here? So there's a few scents that kind of take on a life of its own, I think, or life of their own through different months of the year. So I've mentioned this before, but pear and freesia, you may think of that as just spring, but I love that like harvest time, autumn, because it kind of takes on like a warming sort of fragrance instead of just light and fresh. So I love that, especially if you put that with a wooden wick and you've got the sort of crackling ambiance and then have that scent as well. I think that works really well.
Couldn't agree more.
Apple and cinnamon.
Oh, I've actually got one of these made by the lovely Hayley, and that's apple and cinnamon. It is gorgeous, let me tell you. I would love to burn it and I would love to have it in my flat, but it's got to be used for content, unfortunately.
You can't steal it.
I've got to take it all back to work tomorrow.
Hot apple pie. Now, if anyone has used this in the comments, let me know, because this is a little tester pot that obviously I think this is the best way this time of year to try out new scents. And you can always swap these amongst fellow makers, etc. But this is, compared to the apple and cinnamon, obviously you don't have the cinnamon part, but it's much more like juicy, and the citrus sort of scents are coming through. I find it quite difficult sometimes, like explaining scents over online, but if we think about things and telling a story, that kind of thing, that might help. So hot apple pie says what it is on the tin, basically.
It always reminds me of like wintry mornings when people are like stewing desserts ready for the evening, or like Sunday dinners when I was a little kid at my grandparents' house. It really does smell like exactly what it says, a hot apple pie. It is beautiful.
It's those nostalgic stories that, like Lindsay is saying here, that you need to try and get across in social media marketing or on your website, because you're selling online, unless you're privileged enough to have a shop and things like that. And unless people can sort of sample like tea lights and things like that before they buy. So those sorts of stories, especially when you're trying to change people's minds from pumpkin spice, are so important. Obviously, you know, there's big coffee companies who absolutely revel in pumpkin spice and are never going to give up on that one. But you know, I'm being swayed by some of these. There were some other ones that you mentioned, Lindsay, before we got cut off. So the vanilla and is it smoke or something like that?
Yeah, with vanilla, again, another favourite of mine. I tend to love the earthy scents. Another one I mentioned was cinnamon vanilla. We were actually smelling one of those earlier today when we were talking about doing the live this evening. I couldn't put my finger on it, first of all. We had it made into a sample wax melt, and I could not figure out for the life of me what it was. And it took about 3 of us to go, oh, that's cinnamon, and oh, that's vanilla, to really sort of pair it together. So all the fragrances. Couldn't tell you what they are if you don't know what.
Yeah. And I think really, if any of you are new to candle making at home, you can, with your CLPs, we've talked about these before, you can call your candles whatever you like. So that kind of helps. So if you can't put your finger on what actually something smells like, or you think it smells like something else, you can easily change the name as long as you've got the ingredients the same on the CLP. So, for example, this is not really thinking outside the box at all, but Cosy Owl's fragrance is Christmas spice. So instead of using the word Christmas, because I don't want to sort of put people off or like keep it as that 2 weeks of the year, I call it winter spice because I think it works throughout the whole season. So you can call things whatever you like to kind of evoke those stories or sell your products in that way.
Yeah, absolutely. Just exactly what I was going to say. There are so many people that come into our tiny little showroom office, as you've probably seen on our reels, and asking all these kinds of questions like, oh, can I use a different image maybe, or a different name? Do I have to, you know, tell people that it is this fragrance from you guys? You actually don't. You can really just make it up as you go along, change the name. There are particular fragrances, Fresh Linen and Ocean, and the first 2 that come to mind. They are really very fresh fragrances. They are exactly how they are described. Whereas the Fresh Linen, to me, smells more like the scent boosters that you get. So people will use that as a name instead of Fresh Linen because everyone and their dog seems to have Fresh Linen as a scent in their market. Change the name, set yourself aside, and it really, really does work.
It definitely does. So some of the summer ones I do, I use the coconut and lime Cosy Owl fragrance, and I call that In the Tropics. So that is all about, because the main scents and scent notes in there, which are listed on the website, which I always refer to just to get, just to be able to talk about those, are coconut, dragon fruit, and lime. So then that's my description, and then it makes customer think about holidays and being on the beach and that kind of thing. So there you go. I'm spilling all my secrets today.
That's what too.
Right, Halloween scents, just while we're on scents before we move on. You could go down a few different routes with Halloween. So obviously Halloween is very popular with children and children's crafts, so you could go down sweets and trick-or-treating. So the fragrances that I've been thinking about with those are pear drop, lemon sherbet, chocolate. Now these are all really strong smelling scents for me. I made these last Halloween, some of these candles I've got here, and they are still really, really strong. And I've tended to match the sort of fragrance with the colour. So I've used pear drop in this one. I've gone for, where's it gone? I don't know where it's gone. I've got a lemon sherbet one, which is yellow, and so that it kind of enhances the smell. But you could play on that. So you could have, for example, use some other Becro dyes that maybe you don't experiment with very often, and go for something that smells completely different to what it looks like. Just because it's Halloween and you might want to mix things up a bit, and it's all a bit of a sort of funny time of year. So you could go down the sweets route. You could also, there's bubblegum, you've got chocolate orange and fudge as well, which are quite warming scents that you might also want to overlap into autumn as well. Can you think of any more, Lindsay, that you might go down with sweets and various things?
Absolutely. There's like pear drops, there's tutti frutti, there's all kinds of things, and a really interesting way to market specifically the sweetie ones, because they are incredibly strong fragrances and not always to everyone's palate. We actually made last year, or I say we, Hayley made a cauldron candle, and I wish I had it, but I got a bit too excited and burnt it in the office. It was with one of our Aula containers. It's black, it's got dimples. The candle itself was actually purple, but it had all this stuff in the top that made it look like a witch's brew or a cauldron. We requested a plum and mulberry fragrance, of course, it's a favourite, but you could add literally any fragrance to that and it would still work. Halloween is so open because it's celebrated in so many different countries that everyone associates it with a different scent, with a different visual, with a different, well, just about anything. So you could add bubblegum, you could add tutti frutti, you could add wood smoke vanilla or cinnamon vanilla or anything like that, and it would still work. So
and Hayley also did some essential oil candles, which kind of play on the idea of like spells and witchcraft. And those you could, those essential oils, they have a spa-like scent any other time of the year, I would say. But once put into things with lots of colours and decorating the front of candles with like vinyl and sort of Halloween things, they take on sort of a life of their own. They're slightly different, especially bergamot, which I find really interesting. It's sort of a little bit like Earl Grey tea, but it's unusual. So it's one of those you can't put your finger on, especially if you're going to go for a container like this from Cosy Owl. So something a little bit spooky. And then eucalyptus as well as an essential oil this time of year kind of takes on that kind of pine woodland walk sort of smell. So they're really, really cool.
And don't just limit yourself to candles either at this time of year. Soaps and lip balms and hair waxes. I use a lot of the essential oils in natural cosmetic products, like hair wax for my partner. I've actually got a couple here. Bear with.
Hair wax is a really cool idea. So what do you remember the recipe roughly, or the ingredients for that off the top of your head?
Off the top of my head, primarily it's beeswax.
Okay.
Either the yellow or the white. I tend to use the yellow because I like it a bit more. Castor oil gives that real sticky feel to it and just gives it a lot more lubrication and moisturising properties. I also use coconut oil, only little bits of this, and shea butter as well. Really, really good for natural hair growth, I must say. I don't know if it's proven anywhere, but
yeah. Castor oil as well. That's one of the main ingredients in like brow, like serums and things like that.
Absolutely. All these products are already on the website. Not a lot of people really go and dive into all of that because it's the big scary world of cosmetics. It's really not that scary. I was just grabbing there a couple of soap bars that Hayley has very kindly made. I'd love to say I'd make all these by myself, but I don't have the time. I don't know what scent she's used in this, but this is gorgeous. I don't know if you can see.
That's beautiful. I know she did some in honey with your bee mould.
Yes.
So I wonder if it's similar.
It's on me. Sorry.
No, that's okay. Well, bees aren't very Halloweeny.
She's actually used a natural sponge in here, if you can make that out. Probably better if I turn it that way.
Yeah, that's really cool.
So that's 2 in 1. It's a fantastic Halloween or autumn product because it looks like a slice of orange to me.
It does.
Couldn't tell you what the fragrance is. But this is exactly the conversation we were having earlier today. You really can't tell unless it's written there in black and white.
Yeah.
But also, that is fantastic because you're actually using less of your product by putting in the material, the natural sponge. So you're getting more for your money there and making more for it as a product. But that's so beneficial to so many people. People especially with natural skin conditions, eczema, dermatitis, anything like that. Absolutely always go for natural products. They don't like perfume products. Their skin will hate it, promise you. So the natural soap bases, especially the organic soap, I use myself because I can't deal with perfumed products, and that has done the world of good.
Yeah, that's really interesting because this time of year, at least you can play with your orange dyes, your brown dyes, and then you can take the fragrance out of those. Yeah. It's no problem. Especially if you're doing crafts in like October half term with children or anything like that. I've got, just before we move on to a few more ideas, I wanted to ask you what the bibliothèque scent smells like, because I've never tried it before, and I'm just thinking about kind of musty spell books and kind of libraries and vintage vibes, and also the sage and sea salt, and I'm wondering if that would work for this time of year or whether it's more sort of ocean and fresh.
Well, first of all, yes, the first bibliothèque is literally a library book to me. It's incredibly musky and I want to say dry. I don't know if that makes sense to anyone apart from me, but as soon as I smell it, I know the fragrance. It's really, really good for this time of year, specifically for candles and soaps. Surprisingly, guys love it as well. I did see earlier there was another comment of Midnight Passion. Please tell me what you think that smells like, because I asked this to everyone and everyone gives a different answer. That to me is very similar to the bibliothèque. What was the other one? Wood sage and sea salt, did you say?
Yes.
Just trying to think of what that fragrance is. I've smelled them all so many times. That one to me is quite perfumey, so it might be more for a wax melt rather than a candle this time of year. That hot throw is a lot more enriched in a wax melt than it is in a candle, I've found. Specifically when you've got the candle on the side, you get that cold scent throw, and that can be quite not off-putting this time of year, but it's very light and it feels more springy. A wax melt, obviously when people are buying that, that's going to be enclosed. They're not going to know what that smells like until they melt it, and that really does give off a aromatic hot scent throw, and that is very sagey to me.
Okay, yeah, that's really interesting. No, you're brilliant at describing scents. It's fabulous. While we're talking about wax melts, I just wanted to show the top of this candle. Oh, the light is not doing any favours, but you know, making it look kind of gross for Halloween, so that's all right. I've got a leaf-shaped wax melt on top of this candle. Now, I've done this just for decoration purposes. You could embed these. There's a few guys on the website about popping stars in the top of candles, maybe in yellow and having a purple base, something like that. But this is just a green sort of vine leaf that I think looks closest to a pumpkin. There we go. Oh, it's looking a bit stark. Go back there. Close to a pumpkin leaf, and I've basically just put in some bronzy coloured mica, some green glitter, and green base dye in that one. So there's some really good wax melt moulds that are like leaf shaped on the website. I've got some lovely frosting on this one because I made it last year, but the scent is still amazing, and I know if I burn this it will still be just as good because the frosting is just aesthetic, won't affect burn, so it's all good.
It happens to us all. We say this every time.
And I'm glad you sympathise with me anyway, that I'm not just left on my own admitting these things. So you might have seen this last year if you've seen any of the photos, but again, this is still smelling amazing. I have gone for pumpkin spice with this one because I couldn't not. But beautiful wax adhesion still on the edges, and this is using a bubble glass candle container from Cosy Owl. So they're stunning if you want to put anything on the outside of them.
Just a fun fact, it's been crazy busy at work recently. The bubble ball containers are really starting to sell out at the moment. I think everyone's going down the route of cauldrons this year.
Oh,
it may have been inspired by our content last year, but there you go.
I think it was really cool. So here is my attempt. Oh, I've got a bit of spider web on there from last year, like the fake kind, not the real kind. I do dust. I've done one with the dimpled one as well, so just having green wax spilling over the edge. Any of these dyes that we're using are really punchy.
Sorry, I've just seen a comment. I hate pumpkin spice. We don't. We buy.
It's not personal.
We buy it in excess this time of year, and everybody buys pumpkin spice. So this is really just to get you guys thinking about other options, other fragrances could use instead of pumpkin spice, because everyone will be doing it. It's such a flooded market already, and 9 times out of 10 we're going to be sold out. It's just preparing you for that. You're right there, Abby. Something was going on in the background and I can't see you, so I don't know if you're still there.
No, there we go. I just had to wait for my doorbell to stop.
Oh,
I just had to mute myself. No, you were carrying on brilliantly. Yeah, so it's not personal against pumpkin spice. I have used it today. I do love it. It's lasted me the whole year. It's still giving a beautiful cold throw. And just to prove it, I put it in a diffuser as well. Here, I've just got these extra reeds as well. You can find different kinds of accessories for the top of reeds, which are really cute, just online. What else have I got here? So we were talking about cauldrons a second ago, last year. And I also mentioned embedded candles. And what I meant by those, you might want to use different star-shaped molds or something like that, and either pop them on top so that they melt through, and you might have them in the same colour, just add a bit of texture, or a different colour like this one.
Awesome. I love all your ideas and all your inspiration. It's so nice to have physical products shown on these lives. That's why I brought a couple home with me this evening. A lot are unfortunately being used for content in the office, which I can't always get home. But changing the subject quite jarringly, there was a mould this year, and I'm really excited to show this. You'll see why in a second. Particular mould this year, unfortunately, we at Cosy Owl don't supply, sadly so, but it went completely viral. Everybody was doing it, and Hayley rather creatively made this.
Oh wow, yeah, that's awesome.
Really does look cool. I can't wait to burn it. She did promise me it's going to be burnt soon. I don't know when, but soon. There's a little sprinkling of glitter on the top. I don't know whether that was intentional or not, but it does look really cool. I don't know if you can see.
Glitter does get everywhere, so you never know if it's intentional or not.
Yeah, and makes so many different products. I really wouldn't be surprised. But I believe, maybe not this one, but there have been candles specifically she has made with different colours on the inside, so when it burns down it may not look like it, but it will start to bleed out. I myself last year made a all black pillar candle and put a red tubing candle in the centre of it, so when it burnt down it was black, and then it just poured out all red, and it was gory but really, really effective.
Yeah, that's really cool. You can imagine that on a Halloween party as a centerpiece, taking the center stage. I think one thing about the wicks, just with sculptural candles, because I just can't help but try and share tips. Tell me in the comments if you agree or you do something different. I tend to wick down just so that a sculptural candle, like a bubble candle, keeps its shape and form a little bit. I have also seen them put inside, I don't have the best example here, but a clear version of the candle glass available on the website, so that it catches all of the excess wax as well, rather than spilling onto a plate or something else. So I wick down basically. So that's how I do that. I've also got another mold, again, not from Cosy Owl, but there's quite a lot of things that are like either chocolate molds or something like that that are freely available. So you'd use that with your tried and tested wax. And I've just got little, my light is playing up there, cute little pumpkins there. So that's what I've done.
I can't see them. Do you remember you showing us them last year? I absolutely love all the little tiny pumpkin ones. They're so cute.
Yes, so loads of little wax melts, that kind of thing. Is there anything you guys make at home, or do you have any questions at all while we're just sort of like finishing off and wrapping up? I can see people just, I'm not going to have been able to change too many people's minds today about pumpkin spice, but that's okay. Maybe they'll try a couple of the other little samples as well.
You can't. So it truly is a lovely fragrance, especially for this time of year. When Costa or Starbucks or whoever it is gets in their pumpkin spice lattes, everybody goes crazy for it, and it just smells phenomenal. It really is a reminder of this time of year.
Yeah, I do think it's one of your best scents. I think it's amazing. But yeah, it's just, unless you get in sort of now and get orders in, you know, I've been doing stuff today, for example, so I often, when we jump on these lives, I sort of say what I'm up to, and I'm using this sort of time now to get ahead and do things like setting up the products on my website, sorting out labels, trying to work out descriptions and things like that, so all my CLPs. So I'm basically doing a lot of admin, but I've ordered all my labels and things for Christmas. So that's the kind of other thing to kind of think about. So I've got my apple and cinnamon one there, pumpkin spice is all reversed, but you get the idea. So if you take anything away from today, try and think about getting ahead slightly.
Absolutely, that's the whole idea of these kinds of lives. And I've just seen a comment coming through. Plum in Mulberry, it is Cosy Owl HQ office's favourite, so definitely give it a go if you haven't already. One of my colleagues, Stacey, she trained me in everything I know to do with candles, crafts, etc. And she pushes it to every single customer that walks through our door, and everyone leaves with it.
She's given it to me as well. She's pushed it to me.
Oh,
no, it is brilliant. And I was just going to check down my list just to double check while there's sort of comments coming in. Yeah, we tried not to mention the C word today. Talking about Christmas, there are a few that will work. I did note some down as well, but I think we're definitely going to come back and talk probably more about Halloween closer to the time and more about Christmas as well.
Absolutely. As I say, Hayley is hard at work making a lot of content coming up to Halloween and Christmas. The idea of doing this live this evening and not the next one, but the one after, is going to be Stacey, I believe, with some Christmas inspiration. These are really to get you guys thinking way ahead of time. I know it's August and I know it's really early, but you cannot start too early, especially when you are manufacturing for the season. You really want to get your stock built up now for fragrances that are going to go crazy when it gets to October or to December. You want to get those as far in advance as you possibly can, whether or not you're making your products now or not. Get them all in, get them all sorted and ready for the season when it hits. They will only sell out closer to the time. We sell to the general public and to larger businesses. It's also worth noting that we sell not only to the UK but all across Europe as well. I was actually dealing with a customer in Poland today, sunny Poland. So do get those orders in. I guarantee at one point in the season they will sell out. We do buy in bulk, but it just happens.
It's like for everything as well, in terms of packaging. If you've suddenly not prepared for multiple orders, and it's easily done, because for me as well, it's been a quiet few summer months, and then you kind of forget that actually cozy season's coming up and people will start thinking about gifts. If you can even package up the products that you sell all the time with slightly different packaging, or turn them into gifts or groups and things like that, that can help you sort of use what you have and not end up spending a fortune on trying new products and buying lots of extra products, especially if you don't have a place to store stock, and get you thinking about things in a different way. But yeah, you don't want to be buying things last minute and it costing even more, things like that.
Rolling on that as well, don't be afraid if you've already got a particular scent or product in your range marketed in a certain way, to change the name and market it differently, or duplicate the product. So you've got, as you say, your coconut and lime, that is your holiday scent. Market it in one way and then market it in a different way. Summer memories or something like that. So you've got the exact same product but selling on two different platforms, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it definitely does. Yeah, it could be winter sun or something else. That immediately changes the kind of mood associated with it.
Yeah.
So and even chocolate that you might go for Halloween and like sweets and trick-or-treating, you might use in autumn for sort of hot chocolate, cozy evenings, that kind of thing. So there are a few different things that you could try.
You could use chocolate at Easter. That is a perfect time to use the fragrance. You could use that literally all year round. I could probably think of 4 or 5 different ways to market that. I'm not going to share them all, but 4 or 5 different ways to market that to be used all throughout the year.
Yeah. So we're thinking of different ways to market stuff, trying different fragrances, using this time now to do different content. Even if you're testing, film it. Yeah. And turn that into a reel or something like that. It only need to be a few clips, it doesn't have to be anything special. It will just help you out instead of using photos all the time, things like that. But test everything you try out. All these ideas are in one form or another in on the Cosy Owl website, in guides and various things. There's soap on there, loads of ideas. So I'm loving your comments coming through.
Yeah,
but we're going to have to part ways, I'm afraid.
yeah, we are, because I am getting rather hungry now.
But I'm excited for this season. So everyone's got me really excited, even though it is August and I'm very warm in front of this.
Absolutely, me too. I've got the lights on, so I'm absolutely sweltering. But just before we do round up, just a quick update on Cosy Owl HQ. We are getting incredibly busy, and sadly we are operating on skeleton staff, specifically in the office at the moment. If anyone's got any sort of out-of-date inquiries or anything that they're perhaps chasing up at the moment, we've got it. We are dealing with it. Do just bear with us as much as you can. Anyone who's placing orders through the website at the moment that are struggling with payments, we are aware of the problem. We are trying our best to deal with it. If you are really, really struggling and you simply cannot get that order through, mark it as an agent callback, or just call the office and we'll do it then and there for you. Anyone sending inquiries through Facebook, Instagram or TikTok, it is always better to send us an email directly, because those platforms aren't checked daily, sadly. We do have Hayley who's logged in constantly, so if it is immediate, she will send us a quick email or give us a quick call and just notify us of that. Any questions you have, do not be afraid to ask. It is going to take us slightly longer to get back to you nowadays, but we will always get back to you nonetheless. And save up your questions for the lives if they are very light, and you are happy to share them. Stacey, Hayley, Abby and I are always happy to answer any of your questions and maybe give you some inspiration.
I am happy as well. You can count me in that. But yeah, you guys are the one who's working for Cosy Owl.
We do try.
Yeah.
But thank you again, Abby, and I'm really sorry I couldn't see you for some random reason. My internet is just not playing games this afternoon. Some of the products you were showing there, I'm really eager to see them, so do send me a quick message and we'll take a look.
Thank you very much. Thank you guys for all your questions as well.
Thank you all, and I will see you in a couple of weeks.
I'll see you then. Bye.
Bye.